This is Catherine Parker from The Haunting of Hill House. You're listening to Derek Thomas and the Monday Morning Critic podcast.
Welcome to the Ace Comic-Con Seattle recap. The Ace Comic-Con in Seattle was held on June 30th of this year. And I have to say, the way the Ace universe handles things, it is so well done. I mean, I've been going to Comic-Cons, I want to say, for a good 20 years of my life. I've been covering them as a podcast for about 4 or 5. I have to say, Ace does things the right way, and I'm going to tell you all about it. But I'm going to tell you, even before I got to Ace, for the very first time in my life, I mean, it's been a very tough year personally for me, but one of the things I said to myself is when I go to Seattle this year to go to Ace to cover it for the podcast, that I'm going to go first class. And there's no way I'm not a rich person by any means. I can't afford a $1,500 ticket. So even before I left, I said, you know what? I'm going to look for a flight, even if it's at the worst hours, the cheapest flight, as long as I go first class. So I ended up going JetBlue on the way down. And JetBlue has something called Mint, okay? They look like cubicles, and they're awesome. So you can have a cubicle either next to somebody or alone. And I chose to have the alone one. They have a nice TV setup. It was literally first class the entire way. JetBlue was so good. I mean, even the airline food they gave you wasn't horrible. So I was so stoked to have it. I was ridiculously excited. So on the way down, I go JetBlue. I have first class. It is so much. I mean, I wish I could afford to do it every time. I spoiled myself intentionally this time. But the experience I had, the stewardess, the way JetBlue does things, it was just so well done. And, you know, you have your own private television and you can watch movies, and I'm talking like recent releases and in some cases movies that are films that are still in the cinema. So it was such a great experience. I cannot say enough about JetBlue. And the idea that you have to that you can choose a private booth, you know, in Mint in JetBlue is such an awesome idea. My flight back was very much the opposite experience, but I'll get to that closer to the conclusion of the podcast. But so one of the things I love about this is my second year going to Seattle, and Seattle is such a wonderful place. It is. The people are nice. The people inside the Comic-Con are phenomenal. The way it's run is phenomenal. When I apply to, I don't apply to many, but when I apply to certain Comic-Cons, the people and how they treat you is huge. And the way I was treated at Ace the last 2 years, nothing short of amazing. I mean, from dealing with Jacqueline, who handles the press, releases and press passes. She is so awesome with communication, such a nice person. To my last day when I left, just talking to cosplayers, talking to different people. I cannot rave highly enough about any of my experiences. Ace does things the right way, and I'm going to come back to Ace because I did want to comment on something. It's one of my favorite parts of going to a Comic-Con that I have to travel, because I'm going from Massachusetts to Seattle, which is about, I want to say a 5.5, 6 hour flight. So it's a long flight. I mean, it's basically as far as you can go in the continental U.S. And I'm not a huge fan of flying. I mean, I have to, I almost said sedate myself, which sounds ridiculous, but I have to, my nerves are definitely, twitching and I'm very nervous. But anyways, the flight was phenomenal on the way down. And when you land, you take an Uber. And I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite highlights when I look back on any trip. It is so cool to me. And Uber is very much like a Comic-Con in this way. You meet people of different walks of life, of different, just different people. And, talking to Uber drivers that have come from India, Somalia, you name a continent, they're coming from it. I haven't met an Antarctic Uber driver yet, but I'm going to tell you, it's just so nice to hear where these people come from, whether it's a college kid, busting his butt to make ends meet and doing it on the side, or somebody that has a family of 4 or 5. It's just, I love talking about, I'm certainly not Anthony Bourdain. Okay, I get that. I don't, I never traveled around the world. I don't have these, worldly experiences, but this is as close as I'm going to get, right? So I love hearing about where these people are from. And many times they're from the continental U.S., born in the States. But I love hearing the ones that are, people from overseas. They've come here. They've really established themselves. They're working their ass off. Some people are going, I want to say 8 to 10 hours a day doing Uber, some even more. So it's just so nice to hear their stories about their government, their politics as far as pertaining to the country they've left, culturally what the country is like, the people. It's just so much fun to hear that. The Uber part of a trip is always my favorite. And most of the time, most drivers, I knock on wood, let me sit in the front seat. I'm a weirdo that likes to sit in the front seat because I like to talk to people, act like these people have been my friends forever. But I'm not if I can avoid it, I hate sitting in the back seat. I have this, I don't know. I like having shotgun. I have for the longest time. So I love talking to the Uber drivers. They're so great. And my hotel experiences were fantastic. I love the hotel I was at. I missed the Friday day of ACE, but I was there for all of Saturday, all of Sunday. I'm just a big believer in supporting cons, because a lot of the vendors, again, are like the Uber drivers. They're people looking to make ends meet. Even though I'm covering the con for my podcast, I have to say, I do support the vendors as much as I can. When I go to a con, I try to purchase a photo op. I try to purchase an autograph. If you're going to go someplace, and cons are a business, vendors are selling things, that's a business. If you're going to go to a con and not support these people, then it's like, well, what are you doing? I get that it's fan driven, I get it. But these are people making a livelihood, and I'm 100% in support of that. So I bought some really cool, when I was at the con, I bought this, there was a vendor there, a husband and a wife, and the woman was selling like these bags, like these tote bags that they're cloth, but they're made of like older t-shirts. And I bought one that was a Han Solo. It was like $20, but it's like the coolest thing I've ever purchased. It's in my podcast. I have 2 things that are really fan driven in my house, right? I have a podcast studio, I suppose, and I have, my man room where I just have everything from Walking Dead to Star Wars to, it's just loaded. But I have to say, this is one of the coolest things I've ever purchased, and it's such a great idea. It's hand-stitched, handcrafted. You cannot find this anywhere. Like, good luck finding something like this on eBay that's, not from overseas or not cheaply made. This was awesome. I bought my girlfriend a Wizard of Oz one. I did end up buying a few t-shirts there. What else did I get? I bought a few things. I just love talking to the vendors. I find out where they're from. It's just, and that's what a Comic-Con is. A good Comic-Con, you can just, and that's why I love covering it. I love just schmoozing with people, and the cosplayers are so much fun to watch. There's a guy I see every year, and I had an awesome interview last year. I've had issues both years with recording equipment, but I've solved that, I think. But he is, and people will know who go listen to this, that go to the Ace Comic-Con in Seattle. He looks just like Tony Stark, right? He looks exactly like him. And he does it for charity. And I want to say he's from New Jersey. And he does such a great job. He is such a nice guy. Just a really stand-up human being. And all the cosplayers and all the vendors. And I think I went to each of the vendors a bunch of times, just going around and talking, and it's really one of the more beautiful parts of a con, right? It's just amazing, and hearing the stories. I've never purchased autographs at Ace, so I bought a few this time around because I love beautiful movie posters and I have them autograph it. While I love the Avengers like everybody else, I mean, I love them. I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, there's some people that like put them at number one, like the Avengers. I mean, I love them, but the actors that were there this year that I got an autograph from it was Jeremy Renner, Don Cheadle, and Taron Egerton. Their best works for me personally are non-Avengers movies, right? But that doesn't mean anything, right? You're still supporting the con. So for Taron Egerton, I had a nice Rocket Man poster I purchased. He wrote "I'm Still Standing" on it. So cool. I've got it framed. It looks phenomenal. Don Cheadle autographed a "Reign Over Me," the emotional movie he's in with Adam Sandler. That's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And Jeremy Renner, right? And he was kind of taken back by the poster I gave him. It's a very hard to find Wind River poster. It's all white. It's got him with a sniper rifle. And Wind River is one of the most underappreciated movies that come out in the last 10 years. And he's like, this movie, man, it kills me. And it's just how much it really moved him, because I'm not going to give away the plot or anything, but he was so into the movie. He was so moved by it. And that's the coolest thing I love about autographs. Yes, you're having people, and by the way, I had Cheadle inscribe. He wrote something to the effect of, "I'm in Charlie's world now," which is a quote from the movie. And one of the big quotes from Wind River, and I can't explain it because I'll ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it. It's Wind River. Jeremy Renner put, "Now that's a warrior." I almost started bawling in front of them. Not so much because I was starstruck, but just how much movies mean to me on a whole. And the great thing that nobody tells you about the autograph experience, that I absolutely love, nobody tells you this, is how awesome it is. Because when you do photo ops, they're very kind, they're very nice. Many of them have a great sense of humor. But when it comes to autographs, you have a couple moments to kind of just talk, which I love. I gotta say, I mean, Don Cheadle was great. Jeremy Renner was so nice, as I mentioned. We talked a bit about Wind River, so nice. But Taron Egerton, this dude I absolutely love. I mean, he was so kind. He was so just, I go, because as soon as I saw him, because I saw Rocket Man, I go, yeah, man, thanks for embarrassing me in front of my girlfriend and making me cry. He started laughing. Because Rocket Man's phenomenal. He's so good. And he's such a great singer in the movie. But I'm not trying to get sidetracked. But he was just so appreciative of the comment. He goes, "That's the goal, man." And he was just so cool about it. And the one thing this year that I didn't do last year that I'm kicking myself for, that I went to this year, the panels are phenomenal. I mean, I left very, very late Sunday night. I mean, I was at the airport. I mean, I left, I want to say, close to midnight Seattle time on Sunday. But I was there for all the panels. I listened to it. And I've got to tell you, it was just great listening to Taron. I mean, listen to all these people talk. But Taron Egerton, talking about how he's from Wales, talking about how he's the only member of his family to go into acting. This guy is just so grounded, so great. I don't know. To me, that sums up the whole con experience. It's why you go to a con. And it's why I love Ace, because Ace does things the right way, right? So I'm going to talk about my photo ops in a second, but I was watching a panel with Josh Brolin. Anybody who went to Seattle Comic-Con got a wonderful opportunity to meet Josh Brolin. If you got a photo op with Brolin, if you got an autograph with Brolin, I ended up just getting the photo op. But I got to tell you, it's just like, first of all, Josh Brolin, all the money that he received from photo ops and autographs went to charities. Like, how awesome is that? He probably won't do another Comic-Con ever again. I mean, I shouldn't say ever again, but I'm 99% sure this is his only one. And he won't do many. And I think he maybe said as such, but don't quote me on that. So watching Josh Brolin, so I might as well just talk about how I met him too. When you see them for the photo op, I had a photo op with this year with Brolin, Renner, Cheadle, Edgerton. I've already talked about the other three. But Josh Brolin, just such an honest dude, solid. He was shaking everybody's hand. I've been to cons, and I get it. Germs spread. People don't want to shake hands. I get it. I'm a fist bumper, too. I like to fist bump. But Josh Brolin, hand out, shaking, real man, honesty, just that old school dude, great dude, just shaking people's hands, being kind. I love guys like that. I love the way Brolin handles himself. I love the way Renner and Cheadle and Edgerton and there was other people there too, Zoe, and there's so many other people there, but I'm just talking about the people that I met. I can't talk highly enough. My photo ops experience was phenomenal. And Ace, like I said, Ace does things the right way. They have celeb photo ops doing the photos who are like the A+ of any type of con photography. If you're getting anybody else but celeb photo ops, cross your fingers. Because celeb photo ops does things the right way. They handle it the way they handle themselves. I was talking in line to many of the workers from celeb photo ops. Awesome people. Love talking to them. I'm going to tell you, not all cons are as top shelf as Ace. All photography is not as top shelf as celeb photo ops. And I'm going to be very honest with you. There's another con I can think of. I'm not mentioning names. My podcast is a positive thing. But there's other cons I've been to where I've loved the celebrities and celeb photo ops would do the ops. But the way those cons worked is very much not like how Ace works. Ace, I'm not trying to be repetitive here, but Ace is top shelf. The way Garib runs things and does things, Steven as well. It's the best in the con business. What they do is they have a product that is second to none. Truthfully, I love it. I think it's so much fun. I told you, it starts with getting the press pass to the final product. Ace Comic-Con is class personified, and I cannot recommend it enough. And I have to say, if there's another one coming up in Chicago on October 11th through the 13th, and my plan is to go to that. I mean, right now, the two guests they have announced are Brie Larson and Kit Harington. I'd say they're pretty good guests. And I think it's a Marvel / Game of Thrones theme show, and I am so excited about the Game of Thrones. I mean, the Marvel part, obviously, I'm stoked about, but the Game of Thrones part has me on the edge of my seat. So I'm every day I'm on the Facebook trying to refresh and see who the new announcement is. So that's exciting too. But I'm telling you, if you're able to go to Chicago, give Ace an opportunity. Go there. I'm telling you, the experience is second to none. And I've been to tons of cons. I mean, like I said, been covering cons for 5 years for the podcast, but when it comes to going to cons, I've been going to cons for, I want to say, 20 years of my life. And I'm telling you, the way Ace does things, talking to people in line, it's unbelievable what they have to say. People aren't pissing and moaning. People aren't like, oh, this is horrible. Usually at cons, people are standing around, they're like, this stinks, this is taking forever. Nothing but, I hand to God, there are nothing but positive things. People are excited. I see people of all backgrounds, it's just great to see people. It's great. And the way they do things, the photo ops and who they have go first. And I got to tell you, you see the way, and Chris Evans was there too. How did I leave him out? I did not get a chance to meet Chris Evans. But if you watch the panels, I will post those either on my website, and I'll give you guys my contact information, or Instagram. There's an awesome scene with Chris Evans interacting with either it was a therapy dog or a service dog. I'm not sure. Sometimes they're the same. But I love seeing those, service dogs in action. I'm telling you, there's nothing like this experience. And it's one of my favorite times of the year. It's like my personal Christmas, my personal Hanukkah, my personal whatever. This is it for me, and I love it. And Ace has never let me down, ever. And yeah, this year was so great to meet those celebrities. In 2018, and I did a podcast similar to this back last year, but I was lucky enough to meet Haley Atwell, who's in Captain America. She plays Peggy, and Elizabeth Olsen, who's just so sweet, and Sebastian Stan, who I did a prom pose with, and Anthony Mackie, who was I got to be careful what I say for people, the 3 or 4 people that haven't seen the Avengers movie, but he's taken a huge role in the Marvel universe. So It's just so much fun. Like, so yeah, sometimes for me it was aggravating, right? Because you're taking a 6-hour plane ride, you're playing for, but I got to tell you, these memories that you make, they last a lifetime. And I know that sounds so generic and so Hallmark Channel-ish, but I'm telling you, it is. These memories I have, and when you tell people, they're so blown away, and it's just, I can't say enough things about this whole experience. I cannot tell you. You have to go for yourself to see it, and then you'll say, "My God, Derek was right. This really is phenomenal." But yeah, I got to tell you, and it's great, and I love how these celebrities, and I started a little bit with Chris Evans. They embrace everyone. Dave. I'm going to tell you, all these celebrities not embrace, but they treat you like they've known you forever, right? I mean, I believe Chris Evans, his ops and autographs sold out within 5 minutes of posting. I mean, it was like quick, done. As I mentioned, I hope I mentioned that all of Brolin's went to charity. I mean, these are really good people, and they're really good at what they do. And when you meet all of them, like, they're all in great shape. They're all great-looking people, both male and female. And it's like, I look at myself and I'm like, you know what? Now I'm motivated to lose more weight. I want to look like these guys. It'll never happen, but it's like, I always feel like crappy about myself because these guys look so good. They are such wonderful people, and they look good, and you understand why they're highly successful, because they are so good at their craft. They look good. They're talented. They're nice people. They're the complete package. And, I am so blessed that I've had the opportunity to meet these people, even if it's only for a few minutes. And that's why I love my podcast. It's going to cons, meeting these people. It's interviewing people that have moved me in my life, and that's why I love doing what I do. I mean, to me, podcasting, and I've said this a million times, it's just what I love. It's my passion. It's everything I love to do, and all wrapped up into one. I mean, right now I've been talking to a microphone for 22 minutes, and I could probably go for another 40. But, for your sanity, I won't. But I love everything about it. Like I said, and I'm so mad that the panels that, I wish I went to more last year. But you can, I'm pretty sure those are available on the ACE website as well. And the other thing I love about the cons is they're very, very much judgment free, right? Even on the streets, right? I mean, I saw there was a cosplayer that portrayed Dany's from Game of Thrones, Targaryen, the Dragon Queen, and she was with her friend, and I walked by. I said, "Jon Snow did you wrong," and they could not stop laughing. I mean, it's just such a healthy environment. I mean, just to see, I love cosplayers. I mean, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, Howard Stern had a guy that used to do this, and there's another person I had to do. They had cosplayers on, but when they had cosplayers on, they were kind of poking fun at them, and I have a major issue with that. I mean, you can poke fun at anything. This podcast, the way people look, cosplayers, that's always it. That's an easy target. That's great to do, but that's cowardly. I love cosplayers because you know what they say? They say, screw this. I'm so passionate about this. It's no different than having a podcast. I would say it takes more guts to be a cosplayer. Because you're putting yourself out there. You're saying, I love this character. I love this show. I want to embrace that. I want to dress up and do this. Like, I just have such respect, and it's so much fun to see those people. Yeah, and I'm not like I said, Howard Stern used to do this, and I want to say he had somebody do this, and there was like I said, there's another person I had on that goes to Comic-Cons. He's a local radio guy, and not a local, but a radio guy, and they go to cons and they kind of poke fun at cosplayers, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get why this is fun or original. I mean, anybody can take the insult road. That's the easy road. Try dressing up and becoming what you love. That's character. That's integrity. That's courage, and that's so impressive to see. You see all types of levels of cosplayers, and it's just I absolutely adore it. I absolutely love seeing the I have as much fun seeing the cosplayers than I do Josh Brolin. And you guys can think I'm full of it, but I'll hand to God, I would swear on that. There is one great thing there was one story. I was in line, and this guy had one of the big things at this con were the Captain America shields. They were selling, I think, for like $250, but some people got their own. They're handmade. They're unbelievable. It looks like a legitimate movie prop that Chris Evans would have just used. This one guy had the whole front of the shield was covered with autographs. I mean, the value of that shield with the autographs on it, I can't even put a number on it. But the airline he went on, and I swear to God, this is a true story. He was a really great guy. He was just really focused on getting, I think it was, we were in line for Brolin. No, not Brolin, because it was an autograph. I didn't get Brolin's autograph. It was maybe Renner then. He was trying to complete the shield of autographs. He needed a few more. He had like almost everyone else from the Avengers universe on there. And for his plane ride, he was telling me that he has to buy a separate ticket for his Captain America shield. You talk about passion. Some people could say, "Oh, that's ridiculous." Not me. I think that to me shows passion. That to me shows somebody who's in love with fandom and who's in love with, a movie. I don't know. I love it. And he's been all over the country. I don't even say maybe the world too, getting autographs on this shield. And I think wherever he goes, he was saying he buys there's a seat for his girlfriend, a seat for the shield, and a seat for him. I swear to God, I think that's amazing. I mean, that's somebody who's clearly in love with, movies the way I am. But we're all in love with movies. We all show it in different ways. Like me with a podcast, people with or a Comic-Con, people with their autographs and shields or whatever. It's just so. I have a million stories like that. And again, it's why I love going to the con. So like when you go to a con, it's more than just saying, "Oh, great, I'm going to meet Chris Evans." It's I'm going to meet Chris Evans. I'm going to meet some great people. When you go to a con, that's key. Open up, talk to people. Like there's so many people that are just like you, or I can't even tell you how many conversations I had. And that's the beauty of a con. It's people you meet. I mean, I've seen people from last year. I meet them again this year. I had one guy that was dressed as Taron Egerton from Kingsman. And he had a cowboy hat on. He's from Wisconsin. He just got his PhD in I don't know, really just impressive guy. And it's just the people you meet along the way make it just round out the con experience. And I'm telling you, and until I'm blue in the face, the way Ace does, and I hope I don't want you to learn the hard way. There are some people that are not like the people I've mentioned, Garib or Steven or many of the people that I mentioned here that run cons. Like sometimes it goes very sour. I know there's a con out there that owes people money, hasn't paid them for photo ops that never took place. There's a lot of things that happen out there that are very sketchy, if you will. When you go to Ace, that stuff's not an issue. Absolutely not an issue. It's full faith. You're dealing with reputable people, great people. So that's when I tell you, when I'm raving about Ace, the Ace universe, you can bet on it because you don't want to. I've been through the other way. I mean, I haven't lost money to photo ops. I know people that have a lot of money. It's just my opinion that Ace is the best at what they do. I mean, I'm going to a con at the end of August, and this particular con does things really well. There are really good cons in the world. Ace is the best at what they do. That's it. There's other great cons, of course, but Ace is the best, no question. With the way they handle themselves, the way the whole process, second to none. And Steven and Garib, the owners, are very active on Facebook. I mean, they'll get back to you, they'll talk to you. If you have questions about an op, anything, they're very responsive. It's not only how you handle a Comic-Con, it's how you handle business. Like I wish Ace was in like selling cars, or Ace was like dealing with a bill, or like you in life you rarely see people that are like this, which makes them all the more special. So that's my take on Ace. And I'm a big supporter in cons and supporting cons. Don't forget, it's the vendors, it's the whole package, and I am really excited about Chicago. In Chicago again, Ace Comic Con Chicago is October 11th to the 13th, and I'm planning on going. I'm very excited, and I gotta say, I'm just so blown away. And every time I come in my house, I have my autographed Rocket Man poster, my autographed Wind River poster, my Reign Over Me poster, and and everyone that comes into my house since then has commented, "Wow, dude, where'd you get these?" And I have Ace to thank for that. And there's I'm sure there's thousands of others like me that feel the same way about Ace. It's just, and people come from all around the world. I mean, I legitimately mean that. People flew in from, last year, somebody from Toronto, somebody from, I want to say Germany. I mean, people come from all over to, at least for Seattle. And, for me to go to Seattle 2 years in a row, for somebody that hates flying, like I'm not a big I hate flying, but I got to tell you, the way Ace does things, I'm so happy I did it for a second year in a row, and I hope I can keep this up as a tradition. And my flight back, so this is the only negative thing I'll say. I took Alaskan Airlines, which, again, if you look at the rankings of airlines, it's considered number one in customer service. I was sitting next to a lady, and it was the worst part of my trip. It was easily the worst part. Takes off her shoes, takes off her socks, her feet are everywhere. And this is, remind you, I've splurged for first class. I've saved up a little bit here, right? This is something I don't hardly do. I'm not, like I said, I'm not wealthy. But her feet are all over the place. And I'm not going to go into detail, but it was hell. Like, it was so much hell. Like, I never complained, and I called Alaska, and I said, I want you to know, and there's more to it, but like, I'm a very quiet guy. I keep to myself. I don't bother people. So when I was done with the flight, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, you pay for a first class. I'm not saying it has to be a first class experience, but when I called Alaskan, I told them exactly what happened, start to finish, and how awful it was. I mean, and I never complain. I'm not one of these people that can call and complain or whatever. They refunded, I want to say, about 75% of the ticket. And I wasn't asking for it. I said, I'm not looking for money. They said, look, we want you to take our airline again. We want you to have the experience that we know you're supposed to, whatever. But they were very kind about it. But holy cow. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my first experience in first class was great. But then I wonder, I'm like, when you sit in first class, I mean, it's with other people that probably take it like routinely, right? So they're probably like, who is this schmuck next to me who doesn't look like he belongs in, it's like, so maybe that was the mentality. I have no idea. But it was one of the best trips of the year. I lost my dad early in the year, so it's been a horrible year, really. So this Ace for me was a saving grace. And I cannot I'm not somebody that recommends things outside of movies and TV shows. And I would certainly never tell people to spend money where I wasn't completely confident in what the experience would turn out to be. But yeah, I love Ace. I love the way Steven Garib and the whole staff does things. Celeb photo ops. It's class organization personified. And I mean, because of Ace, I got the opportunity to meet Josh Brolin. Think of what he's been in Goonies and all these wonderful things. Like, think about that. And he made so many. If you guys haven't seen the panels, again, I'm going to post them. I'm going to fuel my social media information, which I'll give you in a second. Or I believe Ace might have it on their website. Jeremy Renner. I met Don Cheadle. I met Taron Egerton. I mean, Haley Atwell, Elizabeth Olsen, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie. Without Ace, I don't meet these people. I don't have these cool things in my house, right? It's just, and I have Ace to thank for that. I think it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I get it's a business, but I also believe if you have something like this, you're a fan themselves. Like, Steven's a fan. Garib is a fan. These are people that do this for the same reason cosplayers do it, the same reason I have my podcast. It's because they're a fan of all of these. And again, if you guys get a chance to go to Ace in Chicago, October 11th, book your flight, book your hotel. It's 1,000% worth the experience. They only have 2 announced guests as of this podcast, but I'm telling you, they will not disappoint. Watch who drops. I mean, I don't know any inside information, but watch who drops next. I guarantee it's amazing. And I apologize. It took me a long time to get this out. I've been so many things have been dropping on me. So thank you so much for listening. And anytime you guys have a question, my email is mondaymorningcritic@gmail.com. On Twitter, it's MDMcritic. On Instagram, it's Monday Morning Critic. On Facebook, it's Monday Morning Critic. And my website is mmcpodcast.com. mmcpodcast.com. And I don't use Twitter a ton. I use Instagram a little bit more. I do a lot of stuff on my website. I'm always updating it. So hopefully we'll talk soon. I got a great episode 142 around the corner. It's the episode 142 is I have a very special guest, and I want to be careful. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but it's surrounding the documentary on HBO, I Love You Now Die. It's the true story of two Massachusetts teenagers that were texting, and one of them texted the other one some negative things, but it's a long story. So I have a really great guest coming on. We're going to discuss that documentary that was on HBO. He's actually a big part of the documentary, so I'm excited for that. That's it for my end, guys. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.